thank you all for being here. We have an exciting session tonight. As you know, we are in our life seminar. How to make room, please. There's a lot of kosher food. Go get food. In our life seminar, we're really going through, again, the major areas of life from a Jewish perspective, just so that people will know that Judaism isn't just, I know about Judaism, like you can't eat shrimp. Like that's like the beginning, middle, and end of people's knowledge of Judaism, and don't realize how powerful, impactful it is and how relevant it is to the things that matter most. Okay, so we have, obviously, career is on people's minds, relationships on people's minds, and one thing that was a little surprised, but based on feedback we did, that people really wanted to hear is on mindfulness, meditation. Actually, December 4th, we have a major meditation thing. We'll see how it goes tonight. Maybe we'll do a quick 3-4 minute meditation. Does that make people feel really uncomfortable? Okay, good. That would be great. The more uncomfortable you are about meditation, the more that person needs it. Okay, anyway, it's a general rule. I include myself in that. So tonight, we're going to focus on the self and mindfulness vis-a-vis the greatest institution ever created, ever in the history of humanity for mindfulness. And do you know what that institution is called? Well, Project 15, of course, but something that preceded that, it's called Shabbos, Shabbat. Way back when the heathens were going and beating each other up in swamps, saying, this is my land, boom, 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 right? We have Jews putting away their plows on a Friday, putting away their commerce on a Friday, and coming and connecting, literally disconnecting from this physical world to live a little taste of the Garden of Eden for 25 hours. And that has been an institution within Judaism that, as a famous philosopher, Achad Ha'am, who ironically himself was not observant. He was a part of something called the Odessa Circle in the late 19th century, in Odessa. And he was part of the Jewish Haskalah, and it's a very fascinating figure. All the great secular Jewish philosophers of the late 1800s, 1900s all grew up and went to yeshiva, and they're like, okay. They took all the brain power and they put it in a different way. But he said something actually very fascinating. He said, more than the Jews have kept Shabbos, Shabbos has kept the Jews.
I like that.
Okay, you like that? You like that? Okay. Now, I don't know if I would say more than the Jews have kept Shabbos. I think I would say because the Jews have kept the Shabbos, Shabbos has kept the Jews. I wouldn't use more, but you get the idea. In other words, Shabbos is something that it's an identity. In other words, when you talk about terms that I really don't like, and it's not just me, but Reform, Conservative, Orthodox. Those are horrific categories. And not talking about the Jews. The categories are horrific. Because it means like I'm pigeonholed here, and I'm this so I can do this, or I can't do this because I'm that. I think we're all Jews. We're all united by the fact that we're Jews. But that notwithstanding, if you wanted to talk about someone who keeps the Torah, and what is called an Orthodox Jew, which again, I don't like the term, but someone who is an observant Jew, it's very interesting. Do you know what we call such a person? A shomer. Shomer mitzvot. We don't. That's not. It's true, but we don't use that term. This person is a shomer Shabbos. It's a fascinating thing. It doesn't make sense. In other words, like, this person is a shomer kosher. He's a shomer kashrut, or this is a shomer. Shomer. Any of the other mitzvot. Shomer pays his workers on time. Or this is a shomer, doesn't speak bad about other people. I mean, there are 613. This is a shomer, does the, offerings in the temple when there was a temple. Throughout history, someone who is an observant Jew is called a shomer Shabbos. It's very funny because there are many mitzvot that you could choose. Why Shabbos? Why Shabbos? This is what we're going to get at tonight. So before we start the technical stuff, I want to share with you two of my favorite all-time stories about Shabbos. Okay? Two different stories in two different places, in two different times, but they both talk about the centrality of Shabbos. And I hope once we go through some of the sources, we'll get an idea of why Shabbos is so important to people. Okay, so here we go. First story was from a pretty much basically the greatest rabbi of the 20th century, named the Chafetz Chaim. Okay, Rabbi Kagan. He grew up in a thriving metropolis called Rodin, Poland. Actually, just kidding. I don't even think they have electricity today. Okay, it's like literally the backwaters of Poland, and literally the entire Jewish world was running on what this man in his 80s, 90s, and even up close to 100 would say in his writings and his speeches. Okay. And one day in the morning, after davening, after prayers, he called everyone over. There was a yeshiva there. He wasn't the head of the yeshiva, but he called everyone over, and like everyone sensed that Chafetz Chaim wants to tell everyone his story. Now, even though he was in the backwaters of Rod in Poland, since he was the greatest sage of the day, he got all the information. Now, it was not by Twitter, not by, no one was WhatsApping him, but everyone made sure to make sure that he had the information. Here's the story that he said. He says, half the world is resting on one Jew's shoulders. Half the world is resting on one Jew's shoulders. And he kept repeating this mantra, and everyone's like, what's going on? I mean, there must be something. He says, I want to tell you a story. He says there was a banker in Germany, okay, a very successful bank, and one of his employees embezzled all the funds. I don't know how many millions of Deutschmarks that was or how much it was worth, but a significant, literally, and this man would be left owing millions of dollars to his clients. And the guy made a getaway, okay? So the Jewish banker gets a lawyer, a private investigator, not a personal injury lawyer, but you never know. Okay, whatever. And they're chasing down this guy, and they've cornered him into a town in Germany. And the private investigator's like, we got him. We're gonna go in. We're gonna get him. And the Jewish banker says, we've got to stop. It's like, what are you talking about? We got him, the millions of dollars that we're going to get right now. We're going to get it. No, we must stop. And they start arguing, like, well, why do you say? He says, we must stop. It's Shabbos. In another half an hour, it's Shabbos. We've got to stop. We can't do this on Shabbos. The private, it's like, does not know what to do. This guy is nuts. He's crazy. Your whole life, all the money online. So they stop, get a hotel, make a whole Shabbos. And this Jewish banker, with all the money on the line, says he's singing Shabbos songs, he's eating his Shabbos food, he's praying, he's having a wonderful time. And the whole time, this private eye investigator is like, this guy is nuts. What is he doing? He's having a good time over here? Does he realize what's at stake? Okay? Come Saturday night after Shabbos, the police knock on his room in the hotel. They said, we've apprehended the criminal. He says, what? What happened? He says, the criminal saw that you stopped and he thought that you gave up, so he came out of hiding and we got him. Okay. Shabbos. So it's a cute ending and it ends up in a nice little bow and it's great. But even if you don't have the bow, let's say the guy would have gotten away with all the money, okay? He was willing to stop for Shabbos, which means that him stopping for 25 hours was more important than whatever financial outcome came. That's the takeaway of the story, okay? There's many takeaways. The other thing is he trusted in the Almighty. The Almighty was going to take care of him. Whatever, if you listen to Hashem, Hashem's going to take care of you. Okay, but the bottom line is it was worth more to him than catching the guy. Okay, worked out nicely well in the end. I'll tell you another story, and this is a personal story. You can't really call them neighbors. How many people have lived for any time in Israel? How many people have visited, but live there? Okay, live there. Okay, so I think basically if there were movie producers or Netflix or the new Faudas or whatever the shtisels, they should basically go to any town in Jerusalem and just pick a building. That one, okay? And if you interview everyone in the building, okay, you'll get the most crazy sitcom ever in the world. I'm serious. So the last few years, my wife Suri and I lived 6 years in Israel. I was studying rabbinic school, etc., and we were just loving our time there. And if you look in our building, there was, right above us were Slonim or Hasidim, big Hasidim, everything you would think of a chassid, the long payas and the fur hat and everything. Above them were Moroccans, above, and the other side were Russian, like Gorsky type Jews, and then there were like the cute young American couples on the other side, and then there was others from Morocco, then there were Persian Jews. I mean, literally every corner of the world in this building, and we all loved it. And we all spoke very fondly. Okay, so the people downstairs from us were Persian, and this is the story of their family, the Shub family. I'll just tell you just an idea of how close the whole building was, and at least we were with the Shubs. One of my daughters, who will remain nameless, although we only had 3 daughters at the time, so you can pick 1, 2, or 3, who was a baby at the time. She's absolutely a righteous person now. She is the sweetest, most unbelievable, every one of my children is. But, well, anyway, we'll talk. Anyway, so what happened, she was a little bit colicky than her sisters, and one night, I'm just preparing you one day. It's worth it. Children are worth it. You should definitely have them, okay? One night, she literally was not consolable. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 2:30. It's Savta from downstairs. She walks in, Tanili, give me the baby. She starts rocking, 10 minutes later, hands are back, she's sleeping, she's like, Laila Tov. She goes back to her place, okay? Like, this is Israel, okay? And you're building, the person downstairs, she can't sleep, the baby's crying, she comes up, rocks the baby, gives it back to mommy. Okay, so her husband came from Iran. 1949, he comes as a single boy. He is 10 years old. He comes by himself, and he's standing in front of the Aliyah board. And he told me he spoke about 2 words of Hebrew. Other than that, I mean, it was all biblical Hebrew. He could read the prayer book, whatever, but it was 2 words of Hebrew. And he couldn't understand what they were saying, but he sensed that they were going to send him to a kibbutz that did not keep Shabbat. 10-year-old boy. They said, come, boiti, come. You know Israelis, by the way, do that, by the way? They don't say anything one. They say it like 15 times, like a boy, come, come. Lo. It's like, okay, whatever. I say it lovingly. You know I'm right. Okay, yeah. No. Yes, come. Okay. So they say, come with me. And he doesn't move. Now, I don't know about you. I have children, 10 years old, new country, doesn't speak the language, but he senses they're going to take him. He said he stood like this. He did not move. He said 2 words in Hebrew that he knows. Labriut. Shomer Shabbat. Shomer Shabbat. No. Come. Nothing. He literally, this 10-year-old boy would not move. Shomer Shabbat. What happened? They saw they weren't going to convince him. They wouldn't want to do it against his will. They sent him to a kibbutz called Sde Eliyahu. Sde Eliyahu is in the north of Israel. And he grew up on the kibbutz, being Shomer Shabbat, growing up because living kibbutz. A little time, well, not a little time later, but in his late teens, early 20s, met a nice young lady on the kibbutz who was Shomer Shabbat. We call her Savta now. That's the lady who did the baby, okay? When he left Israel in 2007, they had 49 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. Okay. And the beauty of seeing every week, they had I think 8, 9, or 10 children, like 9 or 10 children, okay? And each one of them, it gets exponential here, folks. Okay, and each family was so beautiful. Each week, a different one of the families would come to visit them for Shabbat. And I saw them each week. They had this happy life. They had this feeling of connection to the generations, and they had time to experience it. No one was on their phones. No one was watching Netflix. They could actually spend time together. And I remember walking by each time. I'm like, I want that. That's what I want. I want that my grandchildren will know me, that they'll actually look at me and, not through like monosyllabic grunts. Every restaurant, airport, watch how children communicate with their parents today. It's like these caveman grunts. How you doing, Johnny? Okay, anyway, so here you have it. And I'm thinking all of that was dependent upon a 10-year-old boy saying, okay, and what was 7? Shabbos, which is also known as Shabbat. It's okay, whichever way you do it is fine. Now, okay, you want to see something unbelievable? I'm going to go to Michigan Blue just for the, but it's not personal. Okay, fine. All right. Ever want to see something amazing? The first 3 days are the light. It was the night. The first 3 days are the general creation of things. Day 4, 5, and 6 is the specification of that basic creation. Okay? Let's see how this works. First day was light. What was day 4? The further detailing and development of the light, which led to sun, moon, and stars. Okay, he's from Chicago. Chicago, that's why stars. Okay, all right. 2 and 5. Sky and the sea. What happened? He filled them with the birds and the fish. This is like a nice pattern, right? I didn't even make this up. It's really cool, right? Okay, right, here we go. Sometimes like I'm the rabbi, I made that up. This is like really legit here. Okay, here we go. Land, plants, and trees. Where are vegans over here? Vegetarians. Adam and Eve were vegetarians according to most opinions, according to Tosfos, or a Talmudic commentator. He was not allowed to kill animals, but if an animal died, dig in. Okay, but it's a little bit, but most opinions say that Adam and Eve were, in fact, vegetarians. Okay, so we see this, 3 and 6, we have the land, plants, and trees. Who is going to inhabit the land and the plants and trees and eat them? Angels. Okay, says the Midrash. Moving on to Michigan State. Says the Midrash. If anything the rabbis say sounds silly, they're surrounding a very deep idea in a childish package. But it doesn't mean the idea is childish. It means it's a very deep idea, and it's just an invitation to say, ooh, what do the rabbis mean? Okay, the rabbis were very smart. So the rabbis wrote a Midrash and said, oh, Shabbos was so sad. Everyone else has a partner. But Shabbos is all alone. Let's take a collective moment. Sorry. So Shabbos complains and Shabbos was sad. Who is going to be my partner? Who am I going to match up with? And what does the Midrash say? God says to Shabbos, don't worry, my Shabbos. Don't worry. You do have a partner. Who's your partner? The Jews. The Jewish people the JP, as I like to say, okay, will be the partner of Shabbos. And so what's the depth? It's a cute idea, it's a cute thing, but what's the depth of it? Depth is in the fundamental moorings, the DNA of all of creation. Shabbos is fundamentally, inextricably linked to the Jewish people. This is our mojo. This is how we rock. This is how we roll. This is who we are. This is not just, oh, it's a nice ritual. Okay, let's plug in. Okay, this is actually who we are. It's in the deep. How do you say it? You know, like I'm not like these astronomer things, but do you know, like, again, I'm such an amateur. I don't even want to use this analogy, but like space is warped. You know, so the planets are actually going through. Like, here's a mathematician, right? Right? Okay, they're going through actual channels. Now, if you turn on your, binoculars, like, oh, where's the channel that Pluto is, Jupiter is going around? You're not going to find it. It's there, but you don't see it. Shabbos is that pattern. It's there. You don't see it, but you can experience it. And that's one of the fundamental reasons why, when we call an observant Jew a Shomer Shabbos. Why? Because that is inextricably linked with the creation and our identity as Jews. Okay? So that's this first. That's first shot over the bow. Okay, questions? What we did now? Questions, comments, thoughts? Yes, Sean.
Question. When you say Adam and Eve in English, but we're not supposed to say Eve?
You can say Eve. I just want you to know that that's when like the Jewish people classically, we don't call her Eve, we call her Chava.
Okay, but it's
Okay.
the same. It's
Same person. If you say Eve, so I'll say Eve sometimes because if I just say Chava, people think I have a sore throat or something like that. Chava. Rabbi, you okay? It's a phlegm thing. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. So we see already in the pattern of creation. Now, what I'd like to do next is as follows. Rabbi Marcus, how are we with time? Because I boldly put my phone away. Boldly put my phone away.
7:04.
7:04, which means we are good. Okay, another 15 minutes. Okay, we're good. We'll go to 7:20. Okay. So can you give me, Rabbi, a 5-minute thing? Okay. So here's first. Now I'd like to do something else with you. Is as follows. I'm debating between two. I want to get both of these in. Which one do we do first? Okay. Here's what we're going to do. So, can I have a brave reader in English? Brave reader? Loud and bold. Rabbi, it's so scary.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay. So Sarah's going to read from the beginning of chapter 2, okay? And she's going to read 3 verses. And she's going to read it loud and clear. Go ahead.
All right. Thus the heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. By the 7th day God completed his work which he had done, and he abstained on the 7th day from all his work which he had done. God blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, because on it he abstained from all his work which God created to make.
Okay, great. So basically God did a lot. He stopped. He abstained. Sounds like he's like addicted. You gotta like stop this creation. Okay, a little bit addicted to this creation. He's abstaining from something. Okay, but now I'd like to tell you all the times that Sarah said the word abstain, it actually is an amazing word. The amazing word is trying to do some script. Okay, back to Sunday school. Okay, here you go. How's that? Cool? Okay. God literally Shabbated. Anyone remember the Smurfs? I know that's so funny. But that's what it basically says. It says, oh, God Shabbated here and God Shabbated there. And it's like, I know the Smurfs made a comeback. Didn't they make a comeback movie or something?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure it was, because nothing could beat the original. The original Smurfs were right up there with the Super Friends, okay, and the Legion of Doom. Do you remember these? I saw them on Saturday. Okay, anyway, it's way back. Okay, anyway, the Smurfs was a fascinating thing. As a child, I was wondering, how can they use the same word and verb in the sentence as a verb, noun, adjective, adverb, conjunction, whatever? So here's how the Smurfs would go. Oh, Papa Smurf, let's go Smurf a Smurf. And then Papa Smurf would say, oh, that sounds Smurfy. Let's go Smurf along a Smurf thing. And you'd be like, hello? Wow, that was clear. Oh, let's go Smurfing. We're Smurfing. Okay, whatever. So really, the verse says that God, okay, Shabbated. So it is translated here as he has abstained. I know one of the commentators does use that, and he is far greater than not for me. But for the average ear in 21st century America, abstention, I think, has a very much AA type of thing. It's like, dude, God can't stop. We gotta get him to stop this creation thing. He's gotta abstain. That is not the connotation of what's happening. Yeah, Jason.
So do other translations say resting?
Oh, so now thank you very much, Jason. If I was going to say Shabbos is the day of Shabbos is the day of rest. I think that's pretty much unanimous. Some of the rest or relaxation or connection or eating or fun or whatever it is. But most of us say Shabbos is the day of rest. There's only one issue. The word Shabbat can mean rest. But what we look at in other places in the Torah, what usually happens is when you don't know what a word means in the Torah, the place you don't look is the dictionary. Do not go to the dictionary. It is a last resort, okay? When Jews don't know what a word in the Torah means, where do we go? Commentators, yes, but even before the commentators.
The first time it's used.
Excellent. You go to the first time it's used, but there's only one issue, Zach.
This is the first
This is the first time. So where are we going to go? By the way, Zach's something very deep. By the way, if you're looking at something, you go back to the first time it's used. The first time used is definitional. The word is definitional throughout the Torah. It may not mean the exact same thing throughout, but it's basically the core definition of the word. So this is the first time it's used. So what are we going to do? We're going to go to the second time it's used, and the second time it's used is in the Torah portion of Noah. And Noah, after the flood, comes out and God says that no longer will heat and cold and winter and summer and all the different seasons, they will not Yishbotu. Yishbotu. It's not an African tribe. Yishbotu. Yishbotu means, again, you see over here, if it has the same 3 root letters, we're good to go. See how that connects? God Shabbated over there too. What does it mean? It means the seasons will never again stop. So you know what the fundamental meaning of Shabbat is? It's to stop. Okay? It's to stop. Now we have Israelis here who know a very important word in the life in Israeli is Shvita. מה זה Shvita? Can someone please explain? Welcome, how are you doing? We just started. It's great. That's great. Okay, grab food. Okay, Asa, please tell us what is Shvita. It's like a teacher strike. All the teachers. Are there any teachers here? I don't know if anyone. We love teachers. Love teachers. Love those pensions too. Okay, anyway, I won't get in trouble. I won't get in trouble on those. Ooh, I see the arrows darting at me. Okay, anyway, right? So, Shvita means a strike. What did the teachers do? They stopped working. So when the Torah says that God Shabbated from creating, what did he do?
Strike.
Stop. He stopped. He paused. He stopped. Okay, so now, scholars, we're going to drill down. What does it mean that he stopped? Why does the Torah need to tell us that? Oh, God's playing green light, red light. Okay, start, stop. What does the fact that God stopped tell us about the institution of Shabbos? Like, what does it mean? Why do we care that he stopped? What is... I'm being too estimate. Let's be brass tacks. What does stopping give you? Okay, it gives you rest. You can rest once you stop. But the act of stopping something itself.
Finishing what he's...
So it's finishing. Good. I'm pushing you even more. Reflection. That for sure does, but that's the second step. Let me see a question. Let's play this game with a car. Okay? Car has 2 pedals. Our third daughter is just going through driver's ed right now. Who might have been the one awake in Israel. Okay, but anyway, right? She's alright. Anyway, right? So see, everything comes back to connect. Anyway, so we're teaching her there are 2 pedals, right? The pedal on the right is the get to go, and the far more important pedal is the brake. What does the brake allow you to do? Stop, pause, but even more.
Not go. It's not creating.
It's not creating. There's a word here, guys. Let's say you don't have a brake, God forbid. The car is out of?
Gas.
No, not of gas. It's out of control. It's out of control. Listen to this. It's unbelievable. Listen to the depth of this. And it sounds so simple.
What about shift?
Oh, shift. If you can stop something, you can control it. If you cannot stop something, you cannot control it. This is applicable in addiction, right? Addiction. dude, I just can't stop. I gotta get another. Where are brownies? You pass those brownies. I can't stop. No, just kidding. Okay, right? If you cannot stop, pass. No, there's more. There's a whole other tray. Pass them around. Okay, if you cannot stop, you cannot control yourself. Okay, and therefore, why does the Torah say that God Shabbated? Was he tired? Wow, that Milky Way. I'm done. Right? God doesn't get tired. What is it telling us? God stopped purposely to say that I am now in control of my life. And what message does that give to us? That we're in control, right? We've been harping on technology. I can't stop using my phone, which means I'm not in control of it. If there's certain negative behaviors, if there's certain work, this is the question. Shabbat is right between your eyes. Do you control your work, or does your work control you? And it's a question that everyone needs to ask. Okay? Because God, Shabbat, He stopped, and from that stopping comes control. Five minutes? Okay. Perfect to do the last idea. Okay. That was a mind bomb. Do you guys get that? The thought explosion? Okay? So the image of our culture is like, oh wow, I'm working, I'm on the go, I got my phone, I got my this, I'm moving, I'm shaking, and nothing will stop me. I'm working, even on the weekends, and I'm in control. And the irony is, the person who doesn't stop is the one who is out of control. That's the irony. You got to hear the message. You got to hear the images of the work and the this and the that, and I'm cool, and I'm always working, I'm always there, and I'm on top of the wave of life. No, you're a slave. You're a slave. In fact, Kiddush Friday night, when we say Kiddush, and we make the blessing over the wine, we say, God, the Shabbat is a remembrance of Ma'aseh Bereshit, of the act of creation, but we also say it's Zecher Litziat Mitzrayim. It's also a remembrance of us leaving Egypt. Why? Because on Egypt, what were we? Slaves. And we went out to freedom. That's Shabbat. That is Shabbat. That's what we mentioned, going out of Egypt on the Kiddush every Friday night. It's a little mini Pesach. But the good deal is you'll have the matzah 7 days, 8 days out of the year, and most Shabbats you can have our nice homemade chal. Okay, so there we go. Last idea, okay? This idea is an entire class in of itself. I hate when I say that. Okay, but it really is very important. Okay. When you're on a journey, any type of journey, there's one thing that you can never forget. Oh, no, thank you. My wife, Bezrat Hashem, and Tzigil, our eldest, are going to go visit our second daughter, Racheli, in Israel. My wife has not been back to Israel in 15 years since we left. Very happy. I get to go every year, thank God, on our summer Israel trip. Subliminal message, yes, go ahead, yeah.
Always bring snacks.
Always bring snacks. Always snacks, which means provisions or whatever. Okay. One thing you can't forget. Provisions, snacks, they're all good. It's all important. But there's one thing so crucial that if you do not remember it, you might as well not be on the journey. Yes, Sarah! Your destination! Oh my goodness, what are we going to do? So full with Jewish stuff over here. By the way, I love leaving a board filled with Jewish stuff. Yeah, we're just going to go like this. Okay. Okay. Wow, what are the Jews doing over there? Okay. How about we'll put a little mazel tov over here? Okay. Okay, how about some gefilte fish? Okay. Okay, can you imagine them trying to decipher what's going on over here? Okay, right? Okay, so now, right, your destination. Okay? Okay, are you ready? This world is called Eretz, the land. Okay? Shamayim. Sham. Heaven. This world is called Eretz because we're rats. We're running. we're running, we're creating, we're doing, we're building families, we're building businesses, we're building relationships, right? And shamayim, sham, in heaven, we're literally just being. We are literally just being. So here's the deal. This world called Olam Hazeh is, God willing, 120 years of running, of a journey to the next world. Okay? I want you to know something. I think this is probably the most mistaught thing. Again, I'm not bashing Reform conservative. I grew up. How many people were taught that Judaism does not believe in the next world? How many people were taught that Judaism does not believe in the next world? I was firmly taught Judaism. Okay, that is wrong. Extricate yourself. You cannot understand Judaism. It is wrong, 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 totally wrong. We are fundamentally, you do not understand this world unless you believe that the next world is a fundamental problem. We could talk more about that. But here's what I want, and here's where it's relevant over here. This world is a journey to the next world. What did we say about the destination? Okay? Of a journey, you can never forget the destination. You know what the Almighty did? He said, 6 days you're going to work. And the 7th day you're going to have a taste of your final destination. Because your whole life is a journey to the next world. And therefore, I can't let you go 1 week without you remembering why you're on planet Earth. You're on planet Earth because you've got to become the best person you possibly can be through all these sets of challenges. And one day you're going to bask in the ultimate presence of God's spiritual sun tanning, which is beyond any possible pleasure you could possibly imagine. And that is what we call Garden of Eden. That is the ultimate. But guess what? If we forget what we're doing in this world, we may not get there. So God says, you know what? Once a week, I'm going to give you something, a taste of the destination. Shabbat is called Me'en Olam Haba. It's a taste, it's a taste of the world to come. And that is what we're talking about. And that is why on Shabbat, when Rabbi Mark is going to talk more about this, we don't do all these activities, planting and harvesting and nowadays using electricity and weaving and dyeing and killing animals and any other type of activity that changes the physical world. Why? Not a punishment. It's because in the next world, we're not going to be doing any of that. So every Shabbos we put on a play of the next world. By the way, some people on Shabbat, any Sephardi Jews here, have a custom to wear all white. Why? Because they're like angels. Because they're in heaven. It's the heaven play on earth once a week. Why aren't we on our phones and aren't doing other stuff? Not to punishment. It's because you're just not going to have in this world. It's not going to be there. You're not going to have your lawnmower. You're not going to have your car. Okay? So guys, heads up. Okay? So, and therefore, this taste keeps us direction focused of what we're doing in our life, and then giving us a wow, you can taste a little bit of the next world on Shabbos. And by the way, if you do Shabbos right, and hopefully this Shabbos, and if you can't come this Shabbos, but when you do come, you can taste the full taste of Shabbos. And I'll end on this. And this is why I nudge people, you got to go in at least once on the full Shabbos. Because Friday night's a dinner party, and it's wonderful, and it's nice. But if you want to taste this, you got to go the whole pattern. You got to go all in for 25 hours. And then you taste Shabbos. You'll also taste a lot of food. You'll be really, okay, you got no more food, okay? But this is the power of a full Shabbos. You're literally reenacting the beauty and the pleasure of the next world once a week. God doesn't want us to lose our way. Okay? Good? Questions? A lot of mind explosions? Yeah, Shauna? And sorry, Rachel, you had a question.
Sorry. What happens to the Jews who don't make it? Because I always heard that Jews don't believe in hell. But, yeah, so not believing in afterlife, but that...
We have a different conception of hell than the Christians do. But on one foot, literally, on one foot, I will tell you that we believe hell is a very healthy thing. It is what we call spiritual dry cleaning, to blast away all of the sins that we've besmirched our holy soul with, and therefore it's considered a chesed, a kindness. It's like tough love for 11 months, okay? And then after that cleansing, we go to the next one. By the way, that's why we say for a parent, we say Kaddish for 11 months, because 11 months is the time that is that purification process. Yeah.
What are they? What are they? What's happening in the 11th month?
It's a painful time. It's a painful
With your
process.
in-laws.
Yeah. as one of my rabbis says, he says, in the next world, this is good news for some and bad news for others. He says, you end up being forever linked with your spouse. He says, it's good news for some and bad news for others. Okay, whatever. But I'm happy to talk about the next world all you want. It's a fascinating topic, but the hell is a kindness that we are given to be able to burn off all things. By the way, Yom Kippur, that's the pre-burning off. That's spiritual dry cleaning. Certain things, the really, deep in things, you need.
So it's still the fiery pits, it's just temporary?
No, but I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. Because the whole conception of being fire is a metaphor. It's not a literal thing. Why? Because you don't have a body in the next world. You only have a soul. So what is it? Okay, you really want to know what burning pain is? You know what burning pain is? You see in the world of truth, the ultimate person of who you could have been. And there's just one long Netflix season of what you did every time you wasted time, spoke negatively about another person, everything they did, every time you're snippy with your mom or dad, every time you were, cheated, cutting corners, and you're in the world of truth. The Kabbalah, the Zohar says that you're naked in the next one. What does that mean? Obviously, you don't have a body. How can you be naked? It's just your soul. It means you have no excuses. It's you and the truth. It burns. The embarrassment burns. That's the fire of Gehenna. Okay. All right, let's stop. I want to get time. Questions that we can do me privately. Let's take a break and a few minutes, and we'll hear from Rabbi Marcus. Okay? Well done. Thank you all.